Okay, so this is NSA 101 with Carmen Lane, me. I'm your NSA 101 workshop leader. And we're taking a look at the 2021 updated version of the Uniform Residential Loan Application, the URLA, also known as the 1003. So we've got two examples here. We've got example one with one signer, Sidney T Signer. It's 11 pages. And example number two with two signers, John Signer and Jane Signer, that you may be familiar with in my other. I use John and Jane Signer as my sample signers in a lot of my training. Okay, so I'm going to do it differently. I'm doing this instead of going through using my document camera and going through a printed form that I'm trying to broadcast online. I'm doing a test to see if this is more visually pleasing to do it via the computer. I'm just screen sharing my, this is the PDF online, what it looks like, okay. So this is example one with one signer, Sidney T Signer. So this is a new form. So new loans that are initiated after March 3rd are going to look like this. The Uniform Residential Loan Application is going to look like this. You may still encounter the old version if the signers initiated their loan application prior to March 3rd. So we're still going to see this. Bottom line is, here we are, May 3rd. We're still probably going to encounter this for a bit longer until all of the initiated loan applications are completed. But eventually the old version will become obsolete. And this is what we'll see regularly. So example one, Sidney T Signer. Right off the bat, this is different from the old version. Usually the old version there's a spot up top that gets missed, and this one doesn't have it. So let me turn this on for a second. I've got the annotation. Let's do this. Okay, so now you should be able to see a red dot when I'm going to use this to highlight things. So Sidney T Signer, he's a single signer, so he's listed here. If there was somebody else on this loan application with him, the name would appear here, all right? But there's none listed. There's none listed here. So this tells you that it's just a single signer. Another clue is this. Under type of credit, you see that he's marked, I am applying for individual credit. Where this is different and kind of awesome is that you're no more guessing to find out whether a signer is a non-borrowing spouse or what. If it's joint credit, if it's going to be joint credit, this other box is going to be marked. But in this case, for Sidney, he's a single signer. He's going to apply for individual credit. And mind you, these forms are already filled out when we get to it. I submitted a link that you could go to the FannieMae website and look at what a blank form looks like. We're never going to receive these blank. These are going to be filled out typically by the borrower by the time we get these. So another thing to notice is like there's sections here, and let me just scroll here. So here we go, current address. So this is filled out, current address. If at current address for less than 2 years, list the former address. So they either have to fill this out or they have to select this button, does not apply. And so everywhere you can see where it's filled out, that's great. And then this one does not apply, is not checked because this is filled out here. Okay, so we're going to scroll down to the next page. So if applicable, so you're going to see these sections here. It's either going to be, either they have to fill this out or they have to mark here, does not apply. Fill this out or mark here, does not apply. fill this out or mark here does not apply. Okay. Under other assets, they're going to fill this out. This will be completed, or this will need to be checked that it does not apply. So in this case, to see liabilities, there's some credit cards listed here. So the does not apply box is not checked here because it's completed. All right. So we're scrolling down, and yes, it's a few more pages. This is 11 pages for a single signer, but conceivably it's supposed to be easier for the borrower to fill out, which means then also easier for us to present to the borrower as a notary signing agent. So you notice we haven't gotten to any part yet where he's going to sign. So this is still all forms that would need to be filled out. This is a refinance, so this is not checked here, and this is filled out here. Under this section here, if applicable, complete information on additional property. It doesn't apply, and so these boxes here are checked to indicate that it does not apply. Okay, scrolling down. Here we go. New mortgage loans does not apply. And so what your eyes need to be training, what you need to train your eyes to look for with this new form is either it's going to be filled out or this box needs to be checked. Okay. So getting down here, we're on page 5 now. So all the sections where it's not filled out, it's marked does not apply. So the declarations, section 5, the declarations. Will you occupy the property as your primary residence? Yes. So it tells you how the property is being used. If yes, have you had ownership in another property in the last 3 years? So this is a refinance. So it's both marked yes. What type of property did you own? Primary residence, PR, FHA, secondary residence, SR, second home, SH, or investment property, IP. So this is already, when we get this is already going to be filled out. 2, how did you hold title to the property? By yourself? S. Jointly with your spouse? SP. Or jointly with another person? O, right? So some people own properties together, but they're not necessarily married. Okay, so it's either going to be single, jointly with a spouse, or jointly with another person. And let's remind you, this is already filled out. So we're scrolling down. We're just making sure that these have been checked, right? Either yes or no, whatever applies. So now we're section 6. Section 6 is where the signature is, or where we need to obtain the signature from the signer. And so section 6 is what we're paying attention to. Okay, section 6. I'm going to go back up to section 1 one more time. So Sidney T Signer. Type of credit is individual credit. If it was joint, this would be marked, and the total number of borrowers would be named here. And if there was an extra borrower, they would be named over on this side, and his initials, Mr. Sidney Signer's initials, would be needed here. But they're not needed because he is only applying for joint credit. He's by himself. Okay, so let's go back down to section 6 where we were. So we would put a sticky note arrow here, to remind a reminder for us and for the borrower, this is what needs to be signed right here, signature and a date. Okay, so he's going to sign his name as it's listed on the signature block. He's going to write today's date in this format. And I love that they have specified this. I used to just take a sticky note out and write out MM/DD/YYYY. Yeah, that's the year. You have to spell out the year. But I'm in the habit of writing 2 digits for the month and for the day. And this is the format it has to be. So this is kind of awesome that they've added it here as a reminder. So they're not writing the words out, May 3rd, 2021. They're writing 05/03/2021. 05/03/2021, because that's today's date. Obviously, when you're listening to this, it'll be whatever they're going to enter, whatever date they're signing here, not the date that I created this little video. So section 7, military service. Did you or your deceased spouse ever serve, or are you currently serving in the United States Armed Forces? They're going to mark this yes or no. And typically when we receive this, it'll already be filled out. So this is marked no. If it was marked yes, then they would need to mark all these that apply. But there's no, he did not have any military service, so it's marked no here. Demographic information, I guess they're putting it back on the form again. So I mark, this borrower, Sidney T Signer, has marked that he does not wish to provide this information. Maybe it was filled out ahead of time, but then they decided, I don't wish to provide it. So that's fine. So this section here, to be completed by financial institution for applications taken in person. So they would, the lender is going to fill this out, not us. Section 9, this is for the loan. This is the loan originator information. And so the loan officer is going to sign here and date. Okay. So this is not for us to sign. This is not for the borrower to sign. And the way they design this, hopefully, I mean, it jumps out to me that this is loan originator information to be completed by your loan originator. So that's our clue as signing agents that this is not us. This is not the signer signing here either. Scrolling down, notice at the bottom of each page is the borrower's name. So this is an unmarried addendum. You're going to see a variety of versions of this uniform residential loan application depending on each individual borrower. This borrower, Mr. Sidney T Signer, is a single signer. So he's got an unmarried addendum attached to his loan application in which he's marked. If you selected unmarried in section 1, remember section 1 up here, so scroll back up. There we go. He's unmarried. In section 1, he marked this unmarried. Okay, so if you selected unmarried, is there any person who is not your legal spouse, but who has currently real property rights similar to those of a legal spouse? So that means, is there a significant other? Maybe you're not married to them, Mr. Sidney Signer, but is there a significant other? He's marked no, there is no significant other. Okay, but if he had marked yes, then this would apply. If he marks yes here, then he needs to answer one of these down here to explain whether it's a civil union, a domestic partnership, registered reciprocal beneficiary relationship, or other. And then he would need to explain and then fill in the state that, that this is in. Okay. But he's single. So in this case, it's marked no. So now we're down here towards the bottom of the application. We're on page 10 of 11. Yes, page 10. So these are already filled out. There's nothing to do here, right? There's nothing to do here. It's already filled out. Tells you the type of loan here. So that's page 10. Page 11 is just more information here. Cash from or to the borrower. Okay, so this form, at first glance you think, oh, the uniform residential loan application, the old application was only like 5 pages. This is 11 pages, and so it's more complicated. But in reality, it's not, because let's look at, I'm going to do a new share. I'm going to show you what the old form looked like. Okay, let me do a new share. Let's take a look at what the old form looked like. Okay, let me see if this is it. No, I don't think this is it. Okay, well, I thought I had a window open that I could share with you that had a, I thought I had a window open that was to the FannieMae site. Let me try one other thing. Okay, so give me one sec. I'm just going to, I'm getting the web address and then I'm going to show it to you just a second. Okay, so here you should now be able to see the old application, right? This is an example of the old application. And this up here, it said borrower, co-borrower, and they were supposed to sign at the top on these old applications, right? And this would get missed a lot. So we'd have to put a sticky note here on the first page, right? Second page is that's 2 and 3 is asset and liability. And then on page 3, here's a signature and a date that's required. Okay, and then the bottom of page 5, down here at the bottom, signature and date was required. So that's the old application. The new version of the Uniform Residential Loan Application is simpler. It's so much simpler. Let me go back down one more time. So this is with a single signer, Sidney Signer. So yes, it's 11 pages, but so far we're just, when we get these when we're printing these at home, we're just making sure we're going through and making sure these are either filled out or the does not apply box is checked. Okay, so either a section is going to be filled out or does not apply is going to be checked. And at home, we're just making sure, because if it's not filled out and if the does not apply is not checked, then we would encourage them to fill that out. Okay, so the declarations is already filled out. This is the only signature arrow I'm putting on this form. Yes, it's 11 pages, but so far with Mr. Signer, with Mr. Sidney T Signer, one signature arrow goes here, and I'm going to remind him to sign and date. Okay. We're presenting him the whole loan package. He's going to sign and date under that section. Okay. And I just want to reiterate it, section 6, and it's called acknowledgements and agreements. Section 6 is the only place on this whole form he's going to sign. Okay, and there's page 11. So that's 11 pages of which he's only signed one thing. So that it simplifies it. For me, it's a much simpler form. Yes, it's a little bit longer, but it's much simpler. And there's no danger of me missing anything so far. All right, so now let's look at the next example. The next example is with 2 signers, right? This is 2 signers. This is going to be John Signer and Jane Signer. So John Signer's listed first. Okay. Do a spotlight again. Why am I? All right, we'll forget the spotlight. We'll just use my hand here. You see the hand moving around. So John Signer is listed here. He's got a wife, and so he's applying for joint credit. Total number of borrowers is 2. And so I would put a signature arrow, or no, 0. I would put an arrow here to remind Mr. Signer he needs to put his initials here. So I would put a little signature sticky arrow here, just a blank one, and remind him that initials are required. His wife Jane is going to apply as well. Apply for credit. Okay, so her name is listed here. Marital status, married is checked. Okay, and then this is all filled out. It's got his contact information. Okay, so how long at current address? 10 years. If it's less than 2 years, list the former address. And so it's either going to be filled out or it's going to be does not apply. That box that says does not apply will be checked. Okay, so they're both named on here. I scroll down. It's a little bit jagged here. That's my PDF editing that you're seeing. Okay, so we're scrolling through. We're on page 2. This is already filled out. Okay, either it's filled out or see this section is filled out. If this was blank, this would need to be checked. Does not apply. Okay. Liabilities. This one is checked. Does not apply. Does not apply. Scroll down. Okay, so you're seeing a pattern here. Either an area, a section is going to be filled out, or it's going to be checked, does not apply. Page 4, here are those yes or no questions. Will you occupy the residence as your primary or occupy the property as your primary residence? Yes, yes. What if yes, complete 1 and 2. Okay. What type of property did you own? It's either going to be primary residence, PR, secondary residence, FHA secondary residence, SR, or second home, SH, or investment property, IP. So you see right here, PR is marked for primary residence. How did you hold the title to your property? By yourself, S, jointly with your spouse, SP, or jointly with another person, O. Here he's marked, he's got it filled out SP. Okay, and then the rest of these yes or no questions have already been completed. So that's great. On to page 5. Okay, now page 5, acknowledgements and agreements. This section tells you about your legal obligations when you sign this application. So you have them take a look, encourage them to read through it. They should have already received these, right? They filled it out when they first applied for the loan. They should have already received this. Give them a chance to check it over. And then you instruct them to sign and date, right? So Mr. Signer is going to be signing here. Mrs. Signer is going to be signing here. Okay, borrower, additional borrower. John Signer, Jane Signer. So that's how they're going to sign their name. And then to the date that they're signing goes here. Make sure you encourage them to stay out of the margins. So write the date nice and neatly. Today's date using this format. Page 7 is military service. It's marked no, so the rest of these don't apply. Demographic information. Do not wish to apply. Do not wish to provide is marked. Okay. Page 19. This is for the signature of the loan originator, remember. Page 18. So this one, remember this page is, this application is 15 pages. The first example we had was only 11 pages. This is 15 pages because there's 2 people. There's an additional borrower. So who's listed here as the additional borrower? Jane A. Signer is listed. Okay. Type of credit, I'm applying for joint credit. Total number of borrowers is 2. Each borrower intends to apply for joint credits, your initials. So I'd have a little arrow pointing here, and I would instruct Mrs. Signer to put her initials here. List names of other borrowers applying for this loan. So her husband, John, is listed here. Then the same, marital status is checked, it's married. The rest of these are the same as his, okay? If it's either going to be filled out or that box that says does not apply is going to be checked. So we're on page 8 of that application. Page 9. So this is where Jane's is different from John's. On financial information, assets and liabilities, my information for section 2 is listed on the uniform residential loan application with John Signer. So it says right there, insert name of borrower. So they've already, probably the loan officer, already inserted the name of the borrower here. Same with section 3. My information for section 3 is listed in the uniform residential loan application with John Signer. My information for section 4 is listed on the uniform residential loan application with John Signer. Okay, so that's page 9. Page 10 has been filled out. Okay, section 10, this is the declarations. This is page 10. These are the declarations. These are already filled out. Okay. My signature on section 6 is on the uniform residential loan application with John Signer. So she's not signing here. She's indicating she's already signed on the previous section, right? And so here on this one, it's just a reminder that she's on an application with John Signer. Military service has already been filled out. It's marked no. Demographics is filled out. Mrs. Signer does not wish to provide this information. Okay, no problem. Page 12 of 15. This is the loan originator filling this out and signing. The loan originator would sign that one. Page 13. This is the lender information, lender loan information. This has already been filled out. Title information. Title of the property will be held in what names? John Signer and Jane Signer. For refinance, title to the property is currently held in what names? John Signer and Jane Signer. Okay. You know, however it is. I mean, these forms are going to be arriving to us typically already filled out. This is page 14 of the loan application. Already filled out. And page 15 of 15 of the loan application. Already filled out. So this is actually a much simpler version of the uniform residential loan application. When there's, so you will notice that the big difference is whether or not there's 2 signers or 1 signer. If it's just a single signer, right? If it's just a single signer, then it's just going to be one name here and no name listed here. In this case, there's 2 signers, so John's name is listed here, or the first signer is listed there. Second one is listed here. Are they applying for joint credit? Total number of borrowers. So where it asks here for your initials, this is going to be John's initials, right? And then when we go down on this page, this is where John and Jane Signer are both going to sign. So I would have a signature arrow here for John, signature arrow here for Jane, where they're going to sign and date. We're scrolling. I think I missed a section here for Jane. Sorry, right, I did. So this is for Jane. So this on the additional borrower. So she is going to put her initials here because she's married and she's applying for joint credit with John. So her initials go here. So there's only just a couple places now that we have to watch for when there's two signers. So it is actually much simpler. Okay, so if you're looking for more information on the updated 2021 Uniform Residential Loan Application, URLA, or the 1003, whatever you want to call it, I encourage you to do your own research. So I came across these new forms by just very simple Google search. I typed in 2021 URLA update.pdf. So I could look, I always, if it's a PDF I'm searching for, I do my word search and then I type in .pdf so that it'll do search results with the PDF in the search results. So here's a link here. I'm going to click on it so you can see where it's going to take me. Okay, so it takes me to the FannieMae website, right? And this is where I got all the information, right? Hit the back button here. Let's see. There is no back button. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I think you're still on the screen share. And so I clicked a link and it took me to this page here, to the FannieMae website. So now you should see the FannieMae website. Okay, and this is where, yes, this is overkill. This is way above my head, to be honest. I am not a mortgage or financial expert. This is basically just me Googling to find out what the changes were and what the new forms look like. And so this was the search result. This is what I found out. And let me go back to my document here 1 second. So now we're back on, should be back on the write-up. So there's a slideshow. FannieMae has a slideshow. So I'm going to open that up. Give me 1 second and I'll. Okay, so hit no here. So you should be now looking at the, this is, you're probably hearing, welcome to getting started to the redesigned 1003. Okay, so the rest of it, there's no talking, but you can click your way through this. This is what I did. And so I encourage you to go through your own training. Don't let me mute her. If you're hearing the talking, I just muted it. So you can go through step by step to see what's different in the Uniform Residential Loan Application. Here's an example with Sue V. Summers. Okay. And it's overkill, right? This is more than we need to know as notary signing agents. But because this form is new, I wanted to go through it. I wanted to see what are the changes? What can I expect to see different in the new Uniform Residential Loan Application? So that's why I came here. All right. So that concludes this little blurb, this little webinar discussing the NSA 101, reviewing the update to the Uniform Residential Loan Application, also known as the 1003. We went through two examples here. One URLA example with one signer, Sidney Signer, and then the second example was with two signers, Jane Signer and John Signer. So I know I went through this pretty quickly, but I just want to let you know that you may be encountering different forms of the Uniform Residential Loan Application. Pretty soon this will be normal and the old application will be obsolete. Until then, just know that you may be seeing one or the other. And just as signing agents, we have to learn to recognize, where is the borrower supposed to sign? What is the form asking? And, what's expected of us? Okay, where do we instruct them to sign? And what is the form asking? Are they needing to fill out any information? In the new forms, just keep looking for that. If there's a section that is not filled out, either they need to fill it out or they need to mark that box that says does not apply. Okay, this is going to be really handy. That does not apply box. They're going to fill it out or it's going to be does not apply. All right, so I totally took longer than I thought I was going to do sharing this with you. This is just my first one going through the form. If it helps you, great. If it doesn't help you, then by all means, disregard it. But I create these for the new notary signing agents, where you're just getting your feet underneath you. And now we've got a loan form that's changing. Don't be overwhelmed. Just take it step by step. Whatever form you've got in front of you, just look. If it's the old form, remember on the first page, they both need to sign at the top. If it's the new form like this one, it's just section 6. It's just section 6 that they need to sign. And that's kind of awesome that they updated this for us. All right, if you have any questions for me, you know how to reach me. I'm at http://NSA101.com. You can also just Google me, CarmenLane.com, and then click the link to the NSA workshop, NSA 101 workshop. Okay. All right. Hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.